El Dorado, just the name, right? It conjures up these incredible images of adventure, of mystery, of wealth beyond your wildest dreams. For centuries, it was the ultimate prize, a city literally made of gold, lost somewhere in the jungle. But what if the whole thing, the greatest treasure hunt in history, was just one massive misunderstanding? Okay, let's get into it.
This quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head, because that's what our story is really about. It's about obsession. It's about that deep, primal desire for gold, a desire so powerful it would literally tear a continent apart and cost hundreds of thousands of lives, all in the chase for a lie.
So, first things first, let's talk about the legend that everybody knows. The story that just completely captivated Europe was of a lost city made of pure gold. I mean, a whole metropolis of wealth, hidden away in the deepest, darkest jungles of South America.
And the details, they were irresistible. You had explorers coming back with these wild tales of streets paved in gold, temples just stuffed with emeralds, and a king so rich, get this, he covered himself head to toe in gold dust every morning. It was the ultimate lottery ticket, a story so tempting that people were willing to risk absolutely everything to find it.
But now, it's time to peel back the layers of that glittering myth, because the truth is so much more fascinating. The story of El Dorado, well, it's not about a place at all. It never was. It's about a person and a sacred ritual.
And this is the central question, isn't it? The one that changes everything. What if this epic, centuries-long, bloody hunt for a city of gold was just a complete wild goose chase from day one?
This really breaks it down perfectly. The myth versus the reality. The Spanish conquistadors, they heard tales of a golden one, but in their fever for gold, they imagined a golden city. They basically mistook a man for an entire metropolis.
So the key is right there in the name. El Dorado is Spanish, and it literally means the Gilded One. It wasn't a location you could put on a map. It was a title. It was the name for the new king or Zipa of the Muisca people who lived up in the highlands of what is now Colombia.
And this was the ritual. See, for the Muisca, gold wasn't money. It was a sacred offering to the gods. So when a new Zipa took power, he would be coated in gold dust, taken out to the middle of the sacred lake Guatavita on a raft, and there he would wash it all off into the water, along with offerings of gold and emeralds. It was a deeply spiritual act, an act of renewal, not a flashy display of wealth.
But when whispers of this sacred ceremony reached European ears, the story got twisted badly. This beautiful ritual somehow morphed into a tale of endless riches. And that's what sparked this brutal, destructive obsession, a real gold fever.
And you can just see how quickly it all spiraled out of control. It starts as this misunderstood rumor in the early 1500s about a man covered in gold. But within just a few decades, it completely blows up into this full-blown myth of a golden empire. And that lie is what launched massive, violent expeditions that just tore through South America for over a century.
The consequences were, well, they were beyond catastrophic. This hunt for a city that didn't even exist led to the enslavement and murder of countless indigenous people, the deliberate destruction of their culture. They even made these crazy, desperate attempts to drain the entire sacred lake, causing unbelievable environmental damage.
And the human cost is it's sickening. We're talking more than 100,000 indigenous lives lost in a violent, obsessive, and totally fruitless search for a city that was never there. It's a staggering price to pay for a lie.
So let's fast forward to today, because the search hasn't entirely stopped, but its purpose has completely changed. The goal is no longer a quest for gold, it's a quest for knowledge.
And this comparison is just so striking, right? The conquistadors used swords and brute force to get rich. Modern archaeologists, they use technology like sonar and LiDAR to find the truth. And the outcome isn't chests of gold, it's a richer, deeper understanding of the Muisca civilization.
So what's the final verdict? Well, after all the bloodshed, all the searching, even with all our incredible modern technology, we found exactly zero evidence of a golden city. What have we found? Small, beautiful artifacts, pieces that confirm the ritual took place, but absolutely not the city from the myth.
So, if the treasure was never a city of gold, then what is the real lesson of El Dorado? Well, it turns out it's actually a really profound insight into our own psychology.
The whole hunt for El Dorado is a perfect, massive example of something psychologists call the arrival fallacy.
It's that mistaken belief we all have sometimes that if we just reach that one big goal, if we get to that golden city on our own personal map, then we'll finally be happy.
And this contrast gets right to the heart of it all. The conquistadors' obsession with the goal, the gold, was so destructive because their destination was imaginary. But for the Muisca, the true value was always in the process, the ritual itself. It was a real, meaningful ceremony about community, spirituality, and transition.
You know, Arthur Ashe said it perfectly. The legend of El Dorado is basically one giant, historical, cautionary tale teaching us the very same lesson. Obsessing over a mythical outcome led to ruin, while the real value was always in the journey, in the process, in the ritual itself.
And so the story of El Dorado really leaves us with a provocative question for our own lives, doesn't it? What's the imaginary golden city that you're pursuing at all costs? And what meaningful rituals are you maybe overlooking along the way?